Okay, welcome back, everyone. Nice to see everyone. Everyone got some nice food, feel refreshed, feel good. So this afternoon, I'm going to help you guys to learn Buddhist chanting. This is something that has been done throughout the history, starting with the Buddha. And I'm going to explain to you guys what the history of chanting is and where it comes from, and then how to use it and how to help it to benefit you. But first, let's just talk a little bit about the history of chanting. It starts with the Buddha, at least the tradition that we do. I'm sure they were chanting before the Buddha, but nonetheless, he used it as a way to help his students commit the teachings to memory, that he didn't use it for any other purpose than that. That the language that he spoke was all oral, that they didn't write things down during his lifetime because the technology to write things down, it existed in China during his lifetime, but it hadn't made its way to where he was in Northeast India. We probably don't see writing things down as technology, but 2,500 years ago, that was technology. And just like today, technology kind of is, rolled out in waves. It was in the wave that it was kind of being rolled out. So the language that he spoke, didn't even have a script. There was no need for a script. It was purely an oral tradition. So he used chanting where his students would come together every 2 weeks in order to recite his teachings, and that's how they committed it to memory. So all those things that I taught you this morning, now if you could chant those for me, then we'll know that this is working. No, I'm just kidding. You're not going to be able to chant that word for word. I need to put it closer to my mouth. Okay. So need to put it up here closer, right? Okay. So that's how we use chanting as a way to help his students to remember the teachings word for word for word. And that's how they were able to then practice the teachings because they committed it to their memory. So nowadays, we don't need chanting as a way to commit the teachings to memory. We have books and audiobooks and videos and podcasts and things like that. But chanting does actually help you. It helps you to ease your mind into meditation and get more benefit out of the meditation itself. You guys see, so these are the benefits of chanting today. We don't need it to commit the teachings to memory, but it does help you to do what the Buddha describes as setting up mindfulness in front of you. When he talks about meditation, he talks about setting up mindfulness in front of you before you start meditating. What mindfulness is awareness of mind. You're going to need to have awareness of mind before you ease into meditation, rather than just plop down into meditation and start meditating, where maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes into it, now you're actually getting benefit. If you kind of set up mindfulness or awareness of mind before you start meditating, you actually get more benefit out of the meditation itself. So when I'm doing chanting, it's helping to bring awareness of mind, awareness of the breath. It's helping to build concentration and memory. These are all qualities that you need as part of your journey to enlightenment. So this concentration and memory is where your mind's being exercised. If you don't actually exercise your mind, it won't actually be developed. Just like a muscle, when you develop a muscle, it gets stronger and stronger. The same thing is true about your mind. So when you're learning chanting, it's going to help to exercise your mind so you can get more and more benefit out of having exercised your mind. Now it'll actually be stronger and more crisp. It's like nowadays we have all kinds of devices where we don't have to use our memory very much. Some of you guys are about my age or maybe even older. You remember the time when we used to have to remember people's phone number, right? We used to have to do that, and we used to have to get the rotary dial out, and we would dial around, and if you got one number wrong, you had to start over and these kinds of things. So you guys remember that. But nowadays, we have these wonderful devices that we don't have to do that, but it is taking away from our ability to exercise our mind and cultivate the mind. Yes, Vibhav? Okay, let's see how that works. So we can exercise our mind because we don't get that opportunity by remembering phone numbers and all these kinds of things. You're going to need to introduce something into your day-to-day life practice that's going to help you to exercise the mind, because right now we're not really exercising the mind so much. And this is why we see children oftentimes struggling with concentration and focus and clarity of their mind, because they're just not exercising it the way that we did as we were growing up. So chanting will help you to do that. It'll also help you to build awareness of the breath, because as you're chanting, you're going to need to have awareness of your breath. For anybody that has done any vocal training or singing, you know that that's the case, that when you're doing singing, you need to be really aware of your breath. And the same thing is true with chanting as well. It also helps to slow, relax, and ease the mind into meditation. Sometimes people think slowing down the mind is actually making it not as, something that wouldn't be interested in doing. because sometimes people just want to go, 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 go all the time, where that's not what's going to produce the beneficial results in your life. You would actually like to slow down, think through your decisions, and make wiser decisions. Each decision you make, you would like it to be wise. So if you can slow the mind down through some chanting and relax it and ease it into meditation, you'll actually get more benefit. And your mind will tend to do that more regularly in your day to day life. Whereas if you run around the racetrack like a racehorse and then you go back to the barn, like if you go back to the barn of the horses, they're like so hyped up that they can't calm down. So it's the same thing as if you're going to work or school each day and you're running around, running around, running around. When you come home, it's probably really hard for you to rest and relax because your mind is just so used to doing that, where you'd like to slow things down. And this is going to promote more improvements in your decision making, which is then going to produce better results in your day to day life. Also, when you first get started on the path, you might have a challenge to see some progress. I know I did. It was like hitting a brick wall. Everybody's a bit different. Like I gave you the example this morning. There's some people that in 2 days they've seen benefit that they've been studying with me, but other people it takes them a bit longer to see progress. Well, with your chanting, you can actually see progress from session to session. It's like an audible indication that your practice is improving. So the way that I chant today isn't the way that I chanted when I first started. And you can see this gradual improvement. And it's very motivating. It's very encouraging. It helps you to continue to stay dedicated to the practice. So that's one of the things that chanting can do for you as well. It also helps you to develop respect and gratitude and appreciation for the elders and for Gautama Buddha. What I mean by elders is that these chants that we're learning, these have been handed down through countless people. There's a whole chain of people. We'll never know the names of those people, but they've found value in these and they handed them down for a reason. And here we are receiving these teachings and they're beneficial for us. And if it wasn't for these people preserving these teachings all these years, we wouldn't have been able to have these teachings in our hands today to do something with it. So I have an enormous amount of respect for all those people because I know what these teachings have done for me in my life. And you might decide that you would like to have respect for all those unnamed people as well, including Gautama Buddha himself. So whether you think of it that way or not, it's up to you. Whether you have respect for those people or not is up to you. But in order to get to enlightenment, you're going to need to respect all people, everybody. If you have disrespect for others, this is coming from your own mind and you're not going to be able to experience what we're talking about in terms of enlightenment. So whether you use chanting for that or not is up to you. But for me, this is one of the benefits that I observe, that it helped me to cultivate the respect for the elders and for Gautama Buddha. I also like to share with you guys that there's nothing mystical or magical about chanting. Sometimes people think that there's some special thing with chanting. Like if you talk to some people, they will tell you like, oh, chant this chant. If you chant this chant, you're going to get an extra long life. Or chant this chant, you're going to get your boyfriend or your girlfriend that's going to come back to you, right? This isn't actually true. Or chant this chant, you're going to get rich and wealthy right away, or within 10 years or within 5 years. These things aren't actually true. I teach you guys don't believe others, but don't believe me either. You shouldn't believe anybody. If you go to a temple and someone says, hey, chant this chant, you're going to get an extra long life. Well, you need to test that. You need to be able to see the truth for yourself. Look around the temple. Do you see people who are 150, 200, 300 years old? If you do, then you know it's the truth. And if you don't see that, then you know that this isn't true. This is just something that people are believing. So you'll hear people that will tell you this. They'll say, here, chant this, chant it 10 times every day, and within 10 years, you'll get to enlightenment or something like that. These are not true. So keep in mind what the origins of chanting is that the Buddha used it to help people commit the teachings to memory. That's it. That was the only reason. So today, some people have taken on the meaning of like prayer and worship and all that kind of stuff, and that's not what this is. Out of everything that I teach students, this is the one thing that I can share with you. If you didn't learn it and you didn't practice it, you could still get to enlightenment. Everything else that I teach you, you would need to be able to learn and develop in order to get to enlightenment. This practice will surely help you. It will surely benefit you. But whether you choose to do it or not is up to you. During the lifetime of the Buddha, you had to chant. It's like a requirement. You wouldn't be able to remember the teachings otherwise. But today, it's optional. That's why on the core central path of enlightenment, the Buddha doesn't have right chanting, right? Because there's no such thing that you don't actually need it. But it will surely benefit you. And the way that the mind typically works when you're first learning something, is we'll tend to reject it typically right off the bat because it's something new, it's something different. The mind doesn't want to put the effort and energy into learning it. But if you do learn it and you practice it for a few weeks, you'll be able to see that it's helpful and it's beneficial to your mind. But if you practice it for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks and you're like, not for me, it's okay. You can leave it to the side and you'll still be able to get to enlightenment. But you really need to give your mind an opportunity to try it first before you can make those kinds of decisions. I suggest you do that with everything in your life, not just with chanting, but you try like a new job or you move to a new location or you have friends or family, different people that are coming in and out of your life. Give it some time. Don't make decisions right up front. Give it some time to see how your mind relates to that. So I'm going to teach you 3 different chants. But do you guys have any questions on the benefits of chanting? Yes, sir. We have these aren't working right now because we've used the corded mic instead, but those work or they should work.
And when you mentioned an audible indication of improvement to your practice,
Mm-hmm.
can you elaborate on that? Is it just how you're doing it, or how do you mean?
Yeah, so like when I first started chanting, it was like Ada Han Sam Ma, right? It was like this, right? Or now it's Arahang, so you can see the improvement for yourself and within your own ear. And you're like, I can see I'm improving because each session, each week, you can see the progress to your chanting, that the sound of it, the quality of it, the tone of it, the tempo of it, your ability to remember it. So it took me a long time just to even remember these chants. So you'll see that improvement as you're practicing it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you 3 individual chants. There's this first one, which is called the triple gem or the triple jewel. This particular chant, it refers to 3 different things. It helps you to build confidence and respect for the Buddha, the teachings, and the community. These are the 3 things that you actually need in order to get to enlightenment. If you had confidence in the Buddha, but you didn't have access to his teachings or you weren't part of a community, you wouldn't be able to get to enlightenment. If you had access to his teachings, but you didn't have confidence in him or you weren't part of a community, you wouldn't be able to get to enlightenment. Or if you were just part of a community and you didn't have confidence in the Buddha and you didn't have access to his teachings, you wouldn't be able to get to enlightenment. And of course, as we mentioned, confidence in these things is going to grow over time. Right now, you may not have confidence, and that's okay. But over time, you're going to need to have these 3 things. So each event that you go to in Buddhist teachings, they will typically start off with this. The chanting that I'm doing for you is Pali chanting. This is found in what's called the Theravada Buddhist tradition. Theravada means the teachings of the elders. There's 3 main schools of Buddhist teachings. Theravada is practiced in Thailand, Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, Sri Lanka, and southern Vietnam. But in reality, it's been spread all throughout the world. You'll find it even here. There's Theravada temples here in North America and other places. But those are like the focal points for it. They used Pali chanting as the way that they chant. So you could learn this here and go to any temple anywhere in the world that's Theravada Buddhist temple, and you'd be able to chant right along with them because we have this unifying language of Pali. If you learned Mahayana Buddhist tradition, which is mostly in China, you would need to first learn the local language before you could chant with those people. So whether it's Chinese or Vietnamese or any other language, you would need to learn those languages first. Then you could chant with the people in that. And it's very regional, the way that they chant. And then there's the Vajrayana tradition, which is another form of Buddhism that comes after the Mahayana and Vajrayana. But there was only one Buddha, so there can only be one Buddhism, right? It's the words of the Buddha. So these changes that have taken place over the years, they've actually modified and changed his teachings. And the Buddha warned us not to do that because he knew that as soon as you change his teachings, it dilutes it and it makes it so that you can't actually get to enlightenment. So in the Theravada tradition, this means the teachings of the elders. That's what the word Theravada means. And this is considered to be the original form of the teachings of the Buddha that was closest to what he actually practiced during his lifetime. So if you learn chanting in this way, you'll be able to chant with other people as well. When I'm teaching you, I chant with what I would refer to as a Thai dialect. You'll hear other people chanting in other ways, and it's not that one way's right or one way's wrong, so to speak. It's just impermanence. Like here, when you see the word puto, this is the way that they say it in Thailand. But if you go to places like Sri Lanka, they will say Buddho. instead. But if everybody was chanting together, it sounds very harmonious and it sounds quite fine. So the way I'm going to teach this to you is I'm going to go through it 4 times with you. The first time, I'm just going to chant it by myself so that you can hear it. The second time, I'm going to chant it, but I'm going to show you where I'm breathing so you can understand where I'm breathing, and you might decide to take a breath at those places too. Then the third time, we'll do it all together, and I will guide you and show you where the breath is. And then the fourth time, we'll do it without any guidance, without any help. We'll just all kind of do it together. Okay, so we'll do each one this way. So here's the first one. This one I refer to as the triple gem or the triple jewel. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Mahakawa Bhutang Mahakavanang Apivateyami Savakato Mahakavata Tammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Mahakavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Okay, so that's the first time through. And if you notice at the end of each phrase, I'm bowing, kind of with my hands, gesturing. That's to show respect. Show respect to the Buddha, show respect to his teachings, and show respect to the community. Whether you choose to do that or not is up to you, right? It's your practice. No one's going to tell you what to do or force you to do anything. It's your choices that are leading to any particular result. But if you'd like to do that, you're welcome to. If you're in a large group of people, particularly in Asia, they're typically sitting on the floor during these kinds of events. They will usually prostrate towards the ground because there's usually a big, large image of the Buddha sitting in the front, and people will usually prostrate towards that image. In Thai, we call this a klap. It's a way of showing respect to the Buddha, but not everybody does it. You're not required to do it, but you'll just at least understand what they're doing if you're in that kind of environment. Okay, so now I'm going to do it a second time, and I'll show you where I'm breathing. And whether you choose to breathe in these places or not is up to you. Okay, so what I do is I bring my hands together and I take a real deep breath at the beginning, and then I chant, Arahang Samma Sambuddho Mahakawa. Here I breathe. Bhutang Mahakavanang Apivateyami. As I'm bowing, I take a nice deep breath. Savakato Mahakavata Tammo. Again, a little breath here. Dhammang Namasami. As I'm bowing, I'm going to take a deep breath. Supatipano Mahakavato. Little breath. Sāvaka Sangho. Little breath. Sanghang Namami. And then I'm going to bow and take my deep breath to ease into the next chant. Okay? So now we'll do it a third time where you guys can chant along if you like. And I'll guide you in the breath. Okay? So if you like to bring your hands together, you're welcome to, but you don't have to. It's totally your choice, right? It's your practice. Okay, so you might take a deep breath here. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Mahakawa. Breath. Bhutang Mahakavanang Apivateyami. Breath. Savakato Mahakavata Tammo. Breath. Dhammang Namasami. Breath. Supatipano Supatipanno Bhagavato. Breath. Savaka Sangho. Breath. Sanghang Namami. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. All right. Food helped you guys. All right, so now we'll do it a fourth time and I won't guide you on the breath. So now it's like American Idol. It's like the voice, right? Like here you can really let it belt it out, right? Um, so I'm not going to give you any guidance here though, okay? So you guys ready? All right, here we go. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Bhutang Bhagavanang Apivateyami Savakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. All right, good job. Yay. Nice, sounded good. Yeah, this is wonderful. All right, you guys have any questions on this one? Anything? Okay. All right, so let's go to the next. Some people find this one to be a bit easier. If you're in Thailand and you grow up as a little kid and you start mouthing a few words, this is usually the first thing they'll start teaching you. So I've seen like 1.5-year-olds that can actually chant this chant. So it's pretty common. So if you're like having challenges learning all three at the same time, you might try to learn this one first because people tend to find this one easier and then move on to the others. But you can also just learn them all at the same time. That's what a lot of people do. So again, I'm going to do it 4 times. So here's the way this one sounds. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. So it's just the same phrase 3 times. So in terms of the breath, I'll teach you guys where that is. What I do is I take a nice deep breath at the beginning. Then I say, Namo Tassa Bhagavato. I take a breath here. Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Nice deep breath. Namo Tassa Bhagavato. Little breath. Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Deep breath. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. I think I forgot to tell you guys a little breath, right? I think you guys are seeing it now, right? There's like a little pause there. Okay, so this one's just 3 phrases, or same phrase 3 times. Okay, you guys would like to practice this one? Okay, so let's do this one together. You ready? This will be the guidance. Okay, nice deep breath here. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Breath. Namo Tassa Bhagavato. Breath. Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Breath. Namo Tassa Bhagavato. Breath. Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Wow, you guys are strong. Wow, that's good. Okay, so now let's do it without any guidance. Okay? You guys need some. All right, here we go. No guidance, no training wheels. You guys ready? Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Hey, hey, nice. That was good. All right. Any questions on this one? Yeah, Steve? Mhm. Yeah. So for those of you guys online, we can all hear Steve fine because he's got a nice strong voice. But for those of you guys online, he asked the arahato, does that mean the arahant? And yes, that's what they're this is the Pali way of saying arahant. So what this is saying is that this individual is enlightened, perfectly enlightened. So there's a lot of respect and gratitude here for the Buddha. And that's why I think that his students created these, that it wouldn't have been him that created these. Okay, no other questions. All right. Let's go to this one. I found this one to be more challenging, but some people say they find it to be easy, right? That's impermanence. Everybody's going to have a different experience in life. So I'll do it these 4 ways again for you. Okay, so here's how this one sounds. Iti piso emakawa arahang samma sambuddho. Vichacharanang sammuno Sakato rokavitu Anutero purisa Dhamma sati satatawa manusanang Bhutto Bhagavati. Okay, so that's how it sounds. Thai people sometimes when they end this one, they will just end it abruptly. They will say Bhagavati, and they will just stop it. But I think it sounds better to drag it out, so I just always have dragged it out. Okay, so here's where the breaths are. You guys might be hearing this by now because there's kind of like natural pauses. They might be figuring it out. But nonetheless, I'll share with you where the breaths are. So you're taking that deep breath on the way in, and you go, Iti piso emakewa. There's a breath here. Arahang samma sambuddho. There's a deep breath. Vichacharanang sammuno. Little breath. Sakato rokavitu. Deep breath. Anutero purisa. Breath. Dhamma sati satatawa manusanang. Breath. Bhutto Bhagavati. And then that's where you would slip into meditation, whatever your meditation posture is going to be. Okay. So now let's do it the third time where I'll guide you guys and helping you guys to chant it. Okay. So nice deep breath. Iti piso mahakawa. Breath. Arahang sammasambuddho. Nice deep breath. Vichacharanang sammuno. Breath. Sakatoro kawitu. Breath. Anutero purisa. Breath. Sama sati satatawa manusanang. Breath. Bhutto Bhagavati. Okay. So whether you breathe in these places that I'm giving you or not is up to you. Again, it's your practice. I'm just kind of giving you guidance of where there's the potential for you to breathe. But if you can take a deep breath and go all the way through, go for it, right? Maybe you have some big lungs, you can do that. So these are just suggestions. So now let's do it the fourth time where we just go through it with no guidance. Okay, here we go. Iti piso mahakawa. Arahang sammasambuddho. Vichacharanang sammuno. Sakatoro kawitu. Anutero purisa. Dhamma sati satatawa manusanang. Bhutto Bhagavati. Okay, that was a nice one. Yay. All right. I don't know if you guys notice you're getting more succinct where you're like starting and stopping at the same spots. There's a lot more harmony. This is where like a community has a lot of power in terms of their chanting. Sometimes in Thailand, temples get together for like 10 days, 20 days, and people like practice the chanting. So one temple will be practicing with 50 people, another temple will be practicing with 100 or 200 people. And at the end of a certain period of time, they'll all get together and they'll chant and they'll be able to see like, oh wow, they're chanting really beautiful, or oh wow, they're chanting really beautiful. So it's kind of nice to do that from time to time. So a community, their chanting is kind of like a symbol of us being able to do something together and function in harmony. So this is kind of like a symbol of that. And then of course it's helping us to ease into meditation and get more benefit out of that as well. All right. So any questions on this one? Yes. It's up to you. This is what I do is I do the three chants that helps to ease in the meditation. But there's definitely times because of impermanence where I don't chant these. Like when I used to fly back and forth between Thailand and the USA, I wasn't chanting on the plane. But sometimes I would do it inside my head, like just because it helps to kind of ease the mind into meditation. So you can decide for yourself what you would like to do. It's really up to you. You can do all of them, you can do one of them or two of them, or you can do none of them if that's what you would like to do. It's your practice, but you'll see that it does help you in your meditation as you ease into it and ease out of it too. Some students have told me that they feel more comfortable to get really deep in their meditation because they know they have the chanting to help bring them out. Where sometimes if you get really deep in meditation, you come out, you feel a little bit loopy, where this kind of like helps you to kind of come out of the meditation.
Yeah, one of the things that helped me is when you put it on Spotify.
Yeah.
That was really helpful because I could be on a plane because I travel a lot for work, and I would listen to it. Even I wasn't chanting on the plane, but it was helpful. So thank you.
Yeah, this is a way that you can learn. Is I have recordings, like the one that he's referring to is this like it's just the chanting. There's no teaching or anything. It's just a 2.5 minute recording where you can put that in your ear or you can play it on a speaker at home while you're chanting. So you have someone to chant along with, and this will help you to learn the chanting. So feel free to do that if you like that. It's on YouTube and Spotify. Or any podcast, not just Spotify.
Check, check. Are there any key phonetic differences between English and Pali that maybe like any that stand out? Like I think I noticed the fa sounded a little bit different to me.
Yeah, some people have said this in the last 1 or 2 years because I started using a microphone. Before, when I first started teaching, I didn't have a microphone because I couldn't afford it. But when I started using a microphone, I noticed that I changed the ph to more of a m sound because instead of like pa, pa, back at the temple where I teach, the microphone's very sensitive and it has that popping sound. So I started using more of a sound, but it is a pakawato, pakawato. That's the way that you would like to do it. So between English and Pali, what we're doing is we're taking a completely oral language and we're trying to turn it into sounds using characters that you recognize, where you'll see different people write this different ways. This is the way I write it out, but other people will write it in other ways too. You'll see that. So what you would like to do is hear it and learn it from that and use the paper just to kind of like a little bit of a guide where it's not absolute and exactly the way that we maybe speak English. Because some of these are also rolling R's too, like roga we too. So it took me a long time to learn how to use that rolling R, which you can't really represent with English characters. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so here's what I think we should do if you guys are game. How about we start over from the beginning and go all the way through, no guidance, no nothing, all three. You guys up for it? Okay. Switch these slides, but you guys also have the papers in front of you as well. So we'll just go right on through it with no guidance, no nothing. Okay. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Bhutang Bhagavanang Apivateyami Savakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti Piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vicacaranang sammuno Sakato rokavitu Anutero purisa Dhamma sati satatawa manusanang Bhutto Bhagavati. All right. Good job, everyone. Really nice. Yeah. Excellent. Really powerful. Getting very succinct. So we'll get a chance to practice this each morning and each afternoon when we come together for meditation. So you guys will get a chance to practice this throughout the course. And by the time we get to the end, it's going to be even better than what it is right now. So if this is where we're starting, The sky's the limit. Okay, this sounds really good. Okay, so I don't know what happened to my phone, but it's around here somewhere. Oh, it's probably in my jacket. But what time does anyone have the time? 22 after. Okay. So we had planned to end at 3:30, but we also planned to do meditation. But I gave you guys just a full hour and a half lunch rather than come back a little bit earlier because we did take a little bit more time this morning, but that's okay. You know, we take whatever time we need. We're not fixed to any particular time. But if you guys would like to do meditation this afternoon, normally what I do is we combine the chanting with the meditation. If you guys would like to do that, I'll lead you in a meditation practice. But of course, just like always, if you need to go somewhere, feel free to come and go as you please. But for those of you guys that would like to meditate, I'll go ahead and do chanting and you guys can join along and we can go into the meditation. But feel free to come and go as you please. It's really up to you guys. Okay. And then after we do our meditation, then we're going to come out with the chanting as well. So you guys can do the chanting on the way in and on the way out. Oh, Deepak, if you would like to talk, all you need to do is electronically raise your hand. I'll see that, and then I'll be able to unmute you, and you'll be able to unmute yourself, and then you'll be able to ask questions. So if you ever would like to ask a question, just electronically raise your hand, and then we'll be able to see that. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Otang Mahakavanang Apivateyami Savakato Mahakavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti Piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vichacharanang Sammuno Sakato Rogavitu Anutero Purisa Dhamma Sati Satatawa Manusanang Oto Bhagavati. Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect. Just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath. A nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled. Just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then, whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. สัมมาสัมพุทโธมหาเกวาโอตังมหาเกวันนังอภิวาเตมิสวากขาโตมหาเกวัตตาธัมโมดามังนามาสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหาเกวัตโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิจาจารณังสัมมุโนสกขาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาดามาสติสตาตาวามานุสรังโอโตภาควาติ Hey, what a wonderful day, huh? Spending time with people, new family members that you're just meeting for the first time. Wonderful, huh? Any questions? Anything you guys would like to ask about the chanting or anything right now? Time to end our day. Oh, you have a question? Sure. Do I have a mic somewhere? Not sure if they're.
I had a question about the meditation. I felt like, I guess, two questions. Number one, I felt like when I was meditating, I was feeling a tingling sensation when I breathed in, like towards the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to know what that was. That was in the beginning of the meditation. It kind of just went away towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't really experienced that too much before. So I wanted to ask about that.
Can we talk about that tomorrow?
Yeah, of course.
There's a part tomorrow afternoon where that'll fit in wonderful. So if I don't answer that for you, make sure you ask it again, and then I'll be sure to answer it for you.
Of course. And then the other question maybe also to be addressed tomorrow is I am used to sort of Vipassana meditation. So breaking into that and letting go. Sometimes I feel like the thoughts, I'm yanking them back almost forcefully. It feels almost unnatural to me rather than, before I would just sort of note them until they dissolve naturally. So that was another thing. Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, that'll be perfect
okay,
tomorrow.
Sure, of course.
Because once you learn the Eightfold Path in detail, once we describe why we're meditating this way, you'll understand it much better. Yeah, thanks for the questions. Okay, well, tomorrow what we're going to be doing is we're going to start out with chanting and meditation. When you guys come in, if you would like to get the chanting sheets, you're more than welcome to. And then afterwards, I'm going to be teaching you the Four Noble Truths, which is the very first teaching of the Buddha. This is where you're going to be able to have a breakthrough to understanding the problem in the mind, the cause of it, the elimination of it, in the path forward. Then we're going to go walk through each individual factor of the Eightfold Path using the original words of the Buddha so that you can understand how to actually move the mind to enlightenment. When we talk about developing a life practice, the Eightfold Path is that life practice. So you would have no ability to get to enlightenment without learning and practicing the Eightfold Path in detail. So we're going to spend the whole morning on that with a mid-morning break as well. And then after our lunch break, we'll come back and I'll teach you meditation. I'm going to teach you all the ins and outs of it and why we meditate this way. And it'll make so much more sense after you've already studied the Eightfold Path. So whatever you do today, have a very wonderful and lovely rest of your day. And perhaps we'll see you tomorrow. Okay? Sawadee Kap. Sawadee Kap.